Hi friend, if you're like me and you've spent a lot of time on YouTube, you've probably seen a video titled something like 5 hacks to boost your creativity or productivity instantly, or how to be a creative genius in 10 minutes a day, or some other video promising you that with these few simple steps you will boost your productivity and maximize your output. This is not that. Today, I want to offer something deeper. Not hacks, but principles. Practices that honor your creativity as a living, breathing, ever-evolving relationship. And unlike those productivity hacks, these principles won't burn you out or push you toward performance or output. They're here to help you create from a place of flow and honesty, and establish rituals that serve as a foundation for a sustainable creative practice. Before we jump into today's conversation, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed, why don't you go ahead and do so? All right, let's dive in. The first guiding principle of my creative practice is to always create for myself first. Creativity thrives in low pressure environments. So before you think about making something for someone else, make something for you. Center your creative practice around creating the things you want to make. What are the burning ideas that you just can't shake? What is bringing you inspiration? Start there first and make things that move you and things that you can be proud of. And this reminds me of a Toni Morrison quote where she basically says that if there's a book that you want to read, but it hasn't been written yet, you have to write it.
I really call myself now a writer because I only write when I can't not do it, when I'm so compelled to do it. And part of it is what I presume will be, since I'm a very good reader and a very fastidious and careful reader, very picky about what I like, I would try to write the kind of book that I really wanted to read.
So make the things that you want to see in the world. And this doesn't just apply to writing, it applies to all creative mediums. If there's a TV show that you wish you could watch, or a song you wish you could sing, or a painting you want to be able to gaze upon, and it doesn't yet exist, that means that you are the one that's meant to create it. So make the things that you want to see in the world, the things that reflect your burning desires and your passion, that bring you joy. And root your creative practice in those things. And the opposite of this is creating for others and doing things simply for virality or to appeal to a wide audience. And that often leads to burnout pretty quickly because it's performative. It's not doing it because you're passionate. It's doing it with an outcome already in mind. And making the art should be the goal, not selling it. And that type of performative creativity doesn't bring you joy. It turns creating something that should light you up, something that should be fulfilling, it turns that into a chore. And that's when the burnout comes in. The next principle I want to talk about is the importance of ritual and gentle routines. It is so important to build rituals that cue your body and your spirit for creative work. So instead of strict routines, use gentle rituals like tea, music, walks, or journaling to invite creativity in. The focus here should be rhythm and flow, not rigidity. Creating a natural ritual in your life that allows you to flow easily into your creative practice. This could look like slow mornings with a cup of tea or coffee, or incorporating movement like yoga, a walk, or even dancing into your morning. Starting your day with a grounding practice will set the tone and keep your creative space open and generative. It's not just about the things you do before you start creating. It's the life you build around your creative practice, the rituals and the routines. Because you might have a breakthrough in those quiet mornings sipping your tea. That idea that you have been noodling around might just crystallize when you're taking a walk in the park or in your downward dog. Think about the things that work for you already and build those into rituals or routines. For me, I know that I'm going to have a good day overall, but specifically for my creative practice, when I started off with movement, when I started off in quiet and I talk to myself first before I talk to the rest of the world. And that allows me to ground myself in the present moments and keep the connection to myself and my creative practice alive. So I start my mornings slowly and quietly. And then when it comes time for me to actually start writing, I have to start first on a pen and paper. Like I have to go old school. I cannot pull out my laptop and start typing into a document. So that has become a part of my ritual. I'll sit down, pull out my notebook. Right now, my favorite music to create to is bossa nova. So I'll turn that on. I'll have a cup of tea or some water, but usually I'll have at least 2 to 3 beverages in front of me. Maybe it's my ADHD. I don't know, but I'm always, even right now, in front of me, I have 2 beverages. So make sure I'm going to be well hydrated, turn on my music, and I'll pull out my notebook and write down everything that I have worked out about the idea. It basically is a free-flowing brainstorming session, and that's how all of my first drafts start. And as I was recognizing like, hey, this is what I need to get started, I just made that into a ritual. And that's really as simple as a ritual needs to be. Do the things that work for you and do them consistently. Then that becomes your ritual. And like I said before, I support this practice by incorporating movement into my morning, by going on daily walks, and by having a cup of tea before bed and journaling about my day. As I'm journaling, ideas will come up, or something that I've been stuck on will come up, and I'll be able to write it out. And in those moments, some of my best ideas come to me. And these small rituals help me stay connected to myself and my creativity. The next principle I want to talk about is making space for boredom. And I know you might be thinking, okay, now Brianne, nobody is trying to be bored. But hear me out. Make space for boredom and nothingness. We're so used to filling every second with content, scrolling, listening, watching, that we've forgotten that boredom is fertile ground for ideas. Boredom is often where creativity bubbles up. Just thinking back to being a child, if you're like me and you were a child before iPads and all of these devices were a thing, you probably spent a lot of your time making up ways to play and have fun. And that's because you were bored. And those ideas that you came up with, they might have gotten you in trouble, but did you have fun? Okay. So hopefully I've convinced you. And this is something that I'm working on myself. And I really want to take a day and completely disconnect from everything, like turn my phone off, not consume any media aside from music or a book, but mainly just be. And I want to get one of those old school iPods and just turn my phone off, go outside, go for a walk, go explore, see what happens, and just be in the moment. I'm going to give that a try and I'll let y'all know how it goes. I've also been trying to incorporate moments of silence and nothingness in my daily routine. Like I try my best to resist the urge to scroll on my phone during my morning coffee or any moment of when I get bored. If my immediate reaction is to scroll on my phone, I'll just put it away and just sit in that moment and embrace the silence. And now that it's getting warm outside, I sometimes take a few minutes and just sit on my balcony without my phone, without any distraction. And I'll just sit there and listen to the birds because I have a big tree in front of my balcony. So there's always a bunch of birds there. Or I'll just watch the cars go by and just sit and be present in the moment and be silent. And this to me has been kind of healing because I honestly don't believe we were meant to have so much stimulus. Like, our brains, our bodies have not really evolved and caught up to where we are technologically. And all of this stuff is just overwhelming. We are supposed to have more moments alone with our thoughts to just absorb the world around us, not the one in our phone. And this is something that Octavia Butler knew to be true. She would often sit in silence and wait for the story to come. So give it a try. Let yourself get bored. Boredom is where the magic starts, and you can't hear your intuition if you're filling every moment with the scroll. So put the phone down, turn the TV off, and lean into silence. Next, I want to encourage and implore you to stop romanticizing the grind. Rest is regenerative and essential for sustaining your creative practice. It's not a break from the real work. Rest is a part of the work. So build in active rest. Take naps, daydream, garden, let your mind wander. Because when your brain is constantly busy, there's no room for new connections to form. Rest, whether it's sleep, daydreaming, or quiet stillness, creates space for your subconscious to do its thing. And that's where creative insight often emerges. Rest is also the best cure for burnout. You cannot always be in output mode. And if you don't rest, your body will eventually force it. Or you'll end up creating something that isn't your best work, and that would likely be better if you were well rested. So I invite you to revisit your relationship to rest. Are you getting enough sleep? Not the 8 hours that we are told to get, but how much your body needs. And I cannot believe it wasn't until like a year or so ago I learned that women actually need more rest. Because they don't really do a lot of research, and a lot of those standards like 8 hours and all the other recommended daily things are not based on women. But I realized like women need more rest and I need more rest. So this is something that I've been working on, is getting more sleep. So listen to your body and get the amount of rest that is required for you, and don't feel bad about it. Like, I think it might be related to these puritanical standards that this country is founded on, where you're supposed to wake up early, and the day early. If you're not a morning person and you don't have to be, don't force it. Sleep in a little bit longer. Wake up when your body needs to wake up, and get the rest that you need and deserve. Because rest is a part of the natural cycle of life. And when we honor our natural cycles and rest when we need it, we build a sustainable creative practice. And to build on this idea a little more, your creative practice has seasons. Honor them. This could look like high output, deep rest, quiet reflection, burst of inspiration. Not every season is for blooming. Some are for planting, some are for tending, some are for just being. So normalize the ebb and flow as natural creative rhythms. And I think it was N.K. Jemisin who spoke about writing in burst, and how sometimes she does it daily, sometimes not at all, but it all adds up. And I've learned to honor this in my creative practice by taking breaks after finishing a project. And you should do that too, because you need to step back and be proud of yourself. and give yourself the flowers you deserve. Take a step back to enjoy what you created. I've also learned to not force output. If all I have are ideas, then I focus on writing down those ideas. And when I'm inspired or have the energy or motivation to implement them, I do, but I don't force it. And that allows me to make space for being inspired. So that could look like visiting a museum, an art gallery, going dancing, or listening to a new album. And I don't mean listening to it while you're doing something else, but like, have you ever laid on the floor and put on a new album and just let the music wash over you? It's a great experience. So I encourage you to give it a try. I like doing that with Alice Coltrane stuff. It helps me like to daydream, and I even come up with ideas while doing it. But it's just a way to just be present in the moment. And one thing I eventually want to make a part of my creative practice and just my life overall is resting in the winter. I see it as a way to be in sync with the natural rhythms of life, because if the earth is resting, why shouldn't we? Why are we grinding and trying to finish the year strong? No, we need to rest because we just had a long year. Eventually, I would like to get to a point where I can just be like, hey, these last 3 months of the year, I'm about to be laid up on somebody's beach or in someone's cabin, but just whatever I'm doing, it won't be working, it will be resting. And that's how I eventually want to honor the seasons of my creativity and kind of the seasons of my life and just be in sync with the natural flow of nature. So I encourage you to honor the seasons in your creative practice. If it isn't the season for output, don't force it. If it's the season for rest, lean into it. At the end of the day, the best thing you can do for your creative practice is to build it around your needs. Take the principles shared in this video and adapt them to suit you. Because what works for me might not work for you. And that's how it's supposed to be. But one thing I do know is that we all need rest, balance, and self-compassion. So these principles are the foundation of a sustainable creative practice. Honor your own rhythm. You don't need to hack creativity to improve your practice. You simply need to slow down and listen to it. And I want to leave you with a little bit of homework and encourage you to take some time to audit your creative practice to see where you could benefit from the principles shared today. And I've created a checklist that's linked in the description box to help with this. So you can use the checklist if that's helpful, but take some time and sit down and think about where you can use a little bit more rest. Think about what rituals you can formalize to support your creative practice, and think about where you can include moments of silence and boredom into your daily routine. That's all I have for you today. I hope that you found this video useful, and if you did, be sure to share it with someone else that could benefit from hearing about these principles. And remember, creativity is your birthright.